Hey everyone, so glad you're here. Today, we are diving into a really big shift in the business world, and it's this. Sustainability is no longer just some buzzword, it's a core strategic imperative. We're going to break down a whole new model for leadership that's built to tackle this challenge head on. So let's just kick things off with the one question every single leader should be asking themselves. Is your strategy actually built for tomorrow? And look, this isn't some abstract idea, it's the real practical challenge we're getting into right now. All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the why this is all happening now. Then we'll break down a new leadership framework, visualize it with something called the community tree model, and explore a totally different way of thinking about knowledge. And we'll wrap up with the most important part, how you fit into all of this. Let's do it. Okay, first section, the new strategic imperative. Before we can even talk about the how, we've got to get a grip on the why. What's really going on that's pushed sustainability from a side project right into the center of the boardroom? And the answer is actually pretty simple. The world has changed, so the old playbook just doesn't work anymore. For decades, sustainability was kind of this nice to have, right? Something you'd mention in an annual report. Well, that era is completely over. Now it's a key driver of value, of risk, and honestly, of long-term survival. It's not optional, it is absolutely essential. And the pressure, it's coming from everywhere. You've got these massive global disruptions, pandemics, climate events, totally shaking up supply chains. You've got investors who are now demanding strong ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance performance. It's not just about profit anymore. Then there are global goals like the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which are setting a universal standard. And on top of all that, we're in a whole new era of corporate accountability. Companies just can't hide anymore. So, if you're a leader, how in the world do you respond to all this pressure? The old leadership models just aren't enough. We need a new framework for action. And there's a really interesting one developed by CSIR Global that's built on what they call the pillars of sustainable leadership. It's all about turning these massive challenges into real opportunities. And here they are, the 3 cardinal pillars. The best way to think about them is like a 3-legged stool. First, you need awesome leadership development, people with vision. But great leaders don't just appear, right? They need incredible mentorship to guide them. And for both leaders and mentors to make good decisions, they need a solid foundation of strategic research. You see? You take one of those legs away, and the whole thing just collapses. They absolutely depend on each other. Now, to really bring this whole framework to life, let's use a powerful metaphor, the community tree model. Just picture a living, breathing ecosystem where every single part is connected, fueling growth and innovation from the roots all the way to the leaves. So, at the very heart of this tree, deep in the roots, you have the intelligence core. This is the research engine. It's the brain of the operation. This is where raw data gets turned into real insights, and those insights become actionable knowledge. Everything else is built on this foundation. Okay, moving up the trunk of the tree, we get to the foundry. I love that name. This is where that raw knowledge from the core is forged, like a blacksmith, into leadership. It's a space for intense development and mentorship, where today's experienced leaders literally shape the next generation. And then you've got the accelerator. So you forge these leaders, now what? Well, this is where they hit the ground running. It's all about putting that leadership into action, fueling professional growth, sparking innovation, and making a real-world impact. But of course, no ecosystem works in a vacuum. It needs a place for everything to connect, and that's the exchange. Think of it as the nervous system of the tree. Conferences, training, events. It's where the dialogue and shared learning happens that makes the entire community stronger. And finally, like any healthy tree, its branches have to reach out. That's the affiliate network. This is how the model scales up and goes global, by building strategic partnerships to expand its impact across all kinds of industries and borders. So you might be thinking, okay, a tree model, I get it, but what really makes this whole thing different? Well, it's a huge philosophical shift. It's about moving away from seeing knowledge as something you just passively consume to something you actively co-create as a community. This slide says it all, really. The traditional model is totally passive. You read a report, you sit in a lecture, you consume information. This new model is active. Knowledge isn't just handed down from on high, it's built together, piece by every single member of the community. And this is what's called the shared ownership model. And if you take away one thing, let it be this. In this model, every member is a vital contributor, not just a customer or a recipient.
Your expertise, your experience, it becomes part of the community's collective brain power. And the benefits of this are huge. I mean, it obviously increases your own professional competency because you're learning by doing. It fosters real, authentic social leadership. It empowers mentors to teach what they know on their own terms. And maybe most importantly, it builds a shared knowledge base that is so much richer and more dynamic than any single expert could ever create alone. Okay, so this brings us to the final and I think the most important piece of the puzzle. Where do you fit into all this? How can you actually contribute to building this more sustainable future? I really want you to let this quote sink in for a second. Your expertise is the engine of progress. That is not just some feel-good line. It's the fundamental operating principle of this entire model. Your unique knowledge, your perspective, that is the fuel that makes the whole thing go.
So please consider this your personal invitation. It's time to step off the sidelines. It's time to move from being just an observer of change to being an active participant in creating it. Lend your voice, your experience, and your passion to this collective effort. Look, the path forward is complex and it demands a whole new level of collaboration. So the question isn't just, is your strategy sustainable? The real question is, are you ready to help build one? It is time to become a co-creator.